If you can't think clearly until every surface is wiped, every pillow is straight, and every drawer is exactly where it belongs, this isn't about being dramatic. This isn't a quirk or a phase or something to be gently teased about at family dinners. This is about survival. People joke about clean freaks. They roll their eyes, say you're overreacting, suggest you might have control issues, imply that your standards are a judgment of their choices. But here's the truth. They never stop long enough to see. Cleaning isn't about perfection. It was never about perfection. It's about peace. And psychology doesn't just support this, it explains it in precise, fascinating detail. Research consistently shows that clutter elevates cortisol, the body's primary stress hormone. For some people, a messy room isn't a mild inconvenience. It isn't something they can simply look past or decide not to think about. It registers in the nervous system as a genuine, physical burden, a low-frequency pressure that doesn't lift until something is done about it. The mess doesn't just look wrong, it feels wrong. In the body, not just the mind. But the truth goes deeper than cortisol. Deeper than tidiness, preferences, or personality types. It's about control. When life feels out of control, when emotions get complicated and messy, when the world moves too fast, when nothing feels stable or certain or knowable, the brain searches urgently for something it can actually influence. Something where effort produces a reliable, visible result. Something that obeys. Cleaning gives it exactly that. The home becomes a sanctuary. The one domain where chaos has no power, where the outcome of your actions is guaranteed, where you put something in order and it stays in order. And the relief this produces isn't small or superficial. It runs through the entire nervous system. Wiping a counter removes more than crumbs. It removes anxiety. Organizing a closet sorts more than clothes. It sorts racing thoughts. Vacuuming a room clears more than dust. It clears the particular fog that settles over a mind that has been carrying too much for too long. A clean room isn't an obsession. It never was. It's emotional regulation, one of the most effective and underrated forms of it expressed through the physical environment. Psychologists who study sensory processing sensitivity have found that roughly 1 in 5 people have a nervous system that processes environmental input significantly more intensely than average. For these people, visual clutter isn't just aesthetically displeasing. It functions neurologically more like background noise that never turns off a constant, low-level demand on attention that drains cognitive and emotional resources simply by existing in the periphery. The research here is striking. A study from Princeton Neuroscience Institute found that visual clutter directly competes for the brain's attentional resources, reducing the ability to focus, increasing mental fatigue, and elevating stress. For highly sensitive people, this effect is amplified considerably, which is why, when the space around them becomes clean and ordered, something physically shifts. Thoughts slow, breathing deepens, shoulders drop. The body releases tension it has been holding without knowing it was holding it. A tidy home isn't about impressing anyone. It's about being able to exist comfortably inside your own skin. There's also what happens in the brain during the act of cleaning itself. And this is where it gets genuinely interesting. Psychologists describe behavioral activation as the process by which purposeful physical movement interrupts cycles of rumination, anxiety, and low mood. You cannot simultaneously scrub a bathtub and catastrophize effectively. The body in motion crowds out the mind in a spiral. The rhythm of the task folding laundry, washing dishes, vacuuming in straight, satisfying lines creates what researchers call a flow-adjacent state. Focused enough to be grounding, repetitive enough to be meditative. These aren't chores, they're therapy sessions without a couch. And unlike most things life offers, cleaning has something rare and almost miraculous about it: visible results. You can see the before and the after. You can measure, precisely, what you have improved. Every completed task delivers a small dopamine signal, your brain's way of registering that something was accomplished, something is now better, something is resolved. Psychologists have a name for the discomfort caused by incomplete tasks: the Zeigarnik effect. Unfinished things occupy mental space in a way finished things don't. They linger. They demand attention. A dirty kitchen doesn't just sit there, it makes quiet requests of you, all day, until it's handled. Cleaning is how people with this particular sensitivity quiet the requests, not because they're compulsive, because they're paying attention to something real. This is self-soothing disguised as productivity, and there is nothing wrong with it. If this is landing somewhere true for you, if you're recognizing yourself in this in a way that finally feels accurate, take a moment to like this video. It helps more people find this conversation. And if exploring the real psychology beneath everyday behavior is something you want to keep doing, subscribe. This is exactly the work we do here. For some people, there's a layer beneath all of this that runs even deeper. And it's the one that explains the most. Some people grew up in homes where chaos was constant, where clutter meant tension, where mess was never just mess, it was a signal, an atmosphere, a warning, where disorder and unpredictability arrived together so reliably that the nervous system learned to treat one as the early indicator of the other. Nothing felt stable, nothing felt reliably safe. The environment was something to brace against, not rest in. And so as adults, they build the opposite. Deliberately, persistently, sometimes without ever quite knowing why the need feels so strong. Every organized shelf becomes a quiet promise. This space is different. This space is mine. This space will not betray me. Their cleaning isn't compulsive, it's protective. It's the construction, room by room, of the home their younger self desperately needed and never had. Every wiped surface is an act of repair. Every ordered drawer is a small piece of safety being built from scratch by someone who knows exactly what the absence of it felt like. That's not a flaw. That's an extraordinary act of self-determination. But there's one more layer, the one that people around them almost never see. For many people who love a clean home, cleaning is their love language, not in the casual, overused sense of the phrase. In the specific, precise, psychological sense. They carry a deep and quiet sense of responsibility for the well-being of the people around them. They believe, somewhere beneath conscious reasoning, that if they don't maintain order, things will unravel, not from anxiety, but from care. From a genuine desire to provide something stable for the people they love. A spotless kitchen table isn't just a clean surface. It's a message, sent without words. I want you to feel comfortable here. I want this space to receive you well. I want the place where we live together to feel like it's being tended. Cleaning becomes how they nurture when they don't have language for it. It's how they say, I love this home, and everyone in it, when saying it out loud, feels difficult or insufficient. And behind the neatness, behind the order that other people sometimes find intimidating or read as judgment, is almost always a soft heart. A person who fears letting others down. Someone who measures their worth in part by how well the space around them is cared for. Someone using cleanliness as evidence to themselves that they are enough, that they are managing, that they are holding things together the way they believe they're supposed to. Their tidiness is not a judgment of you. It is never about you. It is vulnerability turned into action care, made visible through the one language they are most fluent in. For some, cleaning is also the only time they feel fully present. Where others quiet their minds through meditation, or journaling, or long walks, these people scrub and sort and straighten. The task pulls them entirely into the present tense. There's only the surface in front of them, the motion of the cloth, the before and the after. That's not a lesser form of presence. That's a beautiful one. So, if you're someone who can't settle until the space around you is in order, who feels the weight of a mess in your chest, before you've consciously registered why there is nothing excessive about you, nothing dramatic, nothing controlling, nothing that needs to be fixed or minimized or explained away. You simply understand what your mind and body need in order to feel calm. You know how to care for your inner world by tending deliberately to the outer one. You have found a practice that works, one that grounds you, restores you, and quietly communicates care to everyone who shares your space. Your need for cleanliness isn't a flaw. It is your way of creating peace in a world that rarely offers it for free. It is survival intelligence expressed through a vacuum and a damp cloth. And that is something worth understanding, worth honoring, worth, finally, defending. When you clean, what does it actually feel like once it's done? Relief, peace, something else entirely? Leave it in the comments. You might find it's harder to describe than you expected.